If you have been living under the rock, you might have missed the massive advertising campaign that Ring.com has put out in order to flood the market with the Wi-Fi doorbells. And I'm guessing the campaign was successful and the product was also successful because we see all these Chinese copycats popping out everywhere. And I've been provided an Alfawise smart doorbell or Wi-Fi doorbell by gearbest.com. And I have to say, this is not the first one I have seen, because a friend of mine said that he bought one from AliExpress or a different brand. And he has given me for a couple of weeks to test it. And I have to say, it looked exactly the same. Even the packaging, I mean, obviously the printed details were different, but how the package looked like and the content was the same. So I'm guessing there are multiple factories out there that are churning out these copycats. So we are going to see today how they perform. I've never owned a Ring.com, so I can't really tell how it compares to the original product that they copied it from. And again, the way I'm going to structure this video is, instead of trying to say pros and cons, I think I'm going to go through the specs and sort of the features that you expect from a wireless doorbell, and I'm going to show you how this particular product underperforms in pretty much, well, in most of those features and your expectations. I'm not saying this is a bad product, but I think you should be aware that it doesn't exactly work as advertised. It might not be used for all situation. But if you watch this video, I think you have a good understanding of what this is capable of, and you will be able to decide if this is something that you can use or not. So thanks again for GearBest to provide this review product. And well, first of all, let me just put the box to the side. So what we have here is the actual doorbell, and this is how it looks like. I have to say, it's a it's a good looking product. It's a very decent construction. It feels very firm, and actually it's not really heavy at all. And what you are getting here is, well, what it says. It's a Wi-Fi doorbell. So you push the button, and then the app on your phone rings, saying that you have a visitor, and you can talk to him, and you can look at the feed. And so there is two-way audio, there is video, there is night vision, and there is also motion sensor. So ideally, or well, as it claims, it can also give you notification when there is movement outside your house. And the proof of that is probably all those, funny videos where delivery guys got captured, how they deliver packages, and how, your neighbors is stealing your packages from your front door. And so I have to say, we have seen loads of those. That's again one proof that there is a market for these such devices. Looking at this device a little bit closer, it actually is made of two different parts. So there is this top part which slides off. Sorry, the bottom part which slides off, and that's mostly for mounting. So what you have here is, this is the back plate that you mount to your wall or something. So there is this 4 screw mounts. So when you want to place your doorbell, you just lock into it, and there is a small screw, and you are getting a very fine hex wrench in the box, and that's how you secure it. So basically, if you unbolt this screw, then you can take it off, and if once you put it back on, then you screw it in, and that's how it gets secured. And by the way, once you have the back removed, as you can see, there is a push button here, so you will get a notification on your phone that the intelligent device has been pulled out. Okay, very good. The other notable feature of this backplate is that you have some connectors here. So it is mentioned in the manual that this is an AC adapter, because primarily this works off batteries, but you can also put an AC adapter here, so you can run it from from mains, well, not from mains power. And that's again one thing in the documentation which it really lacks details, because it says AC input. Well, I have to say that I have seen the same feature on other devices, and it basically needs, I think, a very wide voltage range. Something was 9 to 24 volts DC, so you just need a spare power adapter, so you can use it from sort of like mains power, and you don't have to worry about the batteries dying. And on the back, you see the connectors for this AC adapter. You see a micro USB port, so that's for charging the batteries, which are under this compartment, and you also have a reset switch. I'm not going to go into the pairing because, you know, as mentioned in the documentation, it's very straightforward. It's just like, you know, any smart product. I think you probably press this button a long time and it starts flashing, and then you follow the on-screen instructions in the app. And if I remove the battery cover, then we see two batteries. And again, please note that these are 1815 batteries. And these were not provided when I got this review sample. So actually what I'm using here is, I have a dead laptop and I pulled out the battery pack and I just removed the individual cells. So these are, as you can see, it's about 800 milliamps. So it's pretty much like, you know, a third of the capacity as a normal 18650, which, I mean, you can get around 2500 milliamp hours. And I've been using this product for about, I think, 2.5 weeks. And the battery is probably halfway done. So, you know, this is the performance with a really, really bad batteries. So you can remove the batteries, charge them in a battery charger, or you just connect the micro USB and charge them that way. So again, in the documentation, it says that with 6000 milliamp hours, which I think is pretty much the top of the 18650s. Nowadays you can get, like, you know, 3000 milliamp hours 18650s. So two of them would be 6000. So it lasts for what does it say? I think it said 1 to 6 months. Well, I have to say 6 months is probably the case where you don't get any visitors and you never check the app, so basically it's always on sleep. But still, with these two, you know, really weak batteries, I mean, using this for 2.5 weeks, and then it's probably still showing about half a charge. So I think with these I would probably have to charge it once a month. So with, you know, fresh batteries or new batteries every 2 months, I think that's reasonable. That's not too bad. So let's see how the main feature works. So I push the button. I get a ding dong song, and as you can see on the phone, I'm getting a message that I have somebody at my front door. And it takes a little bit of time for the whole thing to wake up and connect. But you can see the live stream now. And what you can see besides my ugly face is that I think the video quality is pretty good. And on the top right, you see this SD video. So this is actually a standard definition feed. So if I change over to HD, then again, there is a couple of seconds of pause while the device changes the feed. But then after that, we are getting the HD feed. And HD means that it's 720p. So in the documentation, again, it says that the resolution is 180 or 720p. No, it is 720p. But on a mobile, I think even the HD is good enough. And just below the screen, you are getting a timeline. So that's where you can go back in time, and you see those red stripes. So those are the things where there was a motion or somebody pressed the button, so there is a recording, and you can just go back. You go past that recording, and then it's going to jump into that recording. So I think this is where I've taken the unit in to take it off the mount that I used in the last couple of days. So that's how a recording looks like, and you have a go live button, you click there and it goes back to basically live. And the functions here is in the album, you can see images that you have saved. Again, I was in the garage. I mean, look, it's really good quality, you know, with some caveats. We are going to see that later. Oops, I've gone out. There is a button for which says switch. You can switch between like the different sort of, not resolution, but the screen gets zoomed in. There is a cruise, which I have no idea what it does because it doesn't do anything. I'm assuming that maybe if you have multiple cameras, then it basically size codes through the cameras. There is a piece for voice, and okay, we are going to get a lot of feedback, but I should be able to hear my voice through the mic over here, and actually I'm hearing that, but the volume of the phone is a little bit down. Let me move my phone close to my mic, and you can hear the feedback. So there is probably a half a second delay. Let me turn this off. And of course the connection the way back also works. So if I press the microphone here, then I should hear my voice in the unit. So this is how you can talk to the postman who is waiting outside to pick up your package. I'm probably a bit too far away, but it works. And you have two buttons. Oops, okay, we are getting a feedback, so let me turn it off. And we have two buttons to take a picture and to take a video on your phone. So that gets saved on your phone. Every time you press a button or there is a motion detected, then the actual video gets saved on the micro SD card that you put into this device. I didn't show the place for it, but that must be under the cover. So, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see that there is a battery and there is a Wi-Fi indicator on the top. Battery, I've already talked about. Wi-Fi, yeah, that's another thing. So based on my not so scientific measurements, I think that if your phone is showing 1 or 2 bars on the Wi-Fi, this device would probably have difficulty connecting to your Wi-Fi. The Ring.com was a US product, and I'm guessing the idea in most US installations that you have it besides the front door. In Europe, I would put it at my gate, which probably is 10-20 meters from your house. Getting proper Wi-Fi reception there is probably going to be a challenge. Well, it's definitely not going to work for me because my router is more like the other side of the house, so I don't get a lot of reception at the gate. Probably even my phone wouldn't be able to connect, and this one has no chance connecting. So definitely take that into account. So I would say that your phone should have at least half the sort of the signal wherever you want to mount this. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to work. And we can go into settings, and in the settings we can see what's the SD card which is installed inside, what is the orientation, what is the environment. Okay, so here we have some presets, and I'm just going to overlay some images here that I have from my front door, and I would say that in normal circumstances I'm getting really good pictures. So the whole picture is correctly exposed, there are no overexposed or there are no underexposed areas. But then I have some parts of the day where I get a lot of direct sunlight, and then you can see that some of the picture gets absolutely overexposed. I've also put this camera into the backyard, so I was hoping to use it as some sort of wildlife camera just to capture cats and dogs, well, not dogs but cats going around in my backyard. And again, the sun was shining and the picture was absolutely useless. And in those cases I tried moving around with these settings, like I tried highlight compensation, I tried dynamic, but it wasn't really making any impact on the picture quality. I don't know if it's intentional or not. Maybe it's okay to get the very bright areas overexposed because the way you would mount this, most probably your subject is going to be in the foreground, not out in the sun, and that has to be correctly exposed. So you see the guy standing in front of your house, and the fact that your background gets overexposed, it's not a big deal, but okay, take this into account. The next one is PIR detection. That's the small PIR detector on the top of the device. And what this is supposed to do is, without anyone pressing the button on your doorbell, you will get a notification if there is motion detected. And I think this is the feature which gets criticized the most if you look at reviews of this product, or even if you look at reviews of the Ring.com, because it doesn't really work. So, and again, I'm referring to the setup that I had for testing this device. So I had this unit mounted next to my door, so I could see the small walkway that I usually use to get to my front door, and also the top of my driveway. And I started setting the PIR detection to medium, and it was working fine. Every time somebody would pass by, I would get a notification, and I would also get a recording. And sometimes I get a small amount of false positives. But then a couple of days later I had a windy day, and then basically my phone was ringing all the time, and it was giving me false detections all the time, because there is a big bush in the view, and that was like going left and right, or the leaves were falling. And again, when I placed the device on the sort of the steps overlooking the lawn, trying to catch the neighboring cats going by, again, I was getting notifications all the day. So basically all the recordings were false positives. So if you are hoping to use this as some sort of security monitoring device outside, I think it's not going to work. You will have a hard time identifying the actual, warnings from all the false positives, unless you have a settings where there is very little background in the view, there is no trees or nothing like that. A couple of days ago we left the house for the weekend, so I thought I'm not going to leave this outside in the garden, but I'm just going to leave it inside. So I've just placed it in the kitchen overlooking the kitchen and the living room, and I set the PIR detection. I think it was a medium, and again it was working. There was no trees or there was no vegetation in the background which would move around in the wind. Of course there was nobody in the house, and I didn't get any notification for a couple of days. And then once we came in, and as we came through the door and we started coming into the kitchen, I got the notification. So again, the PIR works, but in an outside condition, it gets an awful lot of alarms and false positives. And the rest of the settings is like, minor tweaks and changes, like how long the unit will go into sleep mode, what is the power frequency, so probably to reduce the flicker in the video. You have an LED lamp, so that's probably this indicator lamp. You can have it enabled or disabled. I think it's fine for enabled. When you pair this unit with your app, you need to specify a device name and a password. So I set it to the front door and I given it a password, so you can do that. You can share the device, and the rest is just stats. And you can also check for update. I haven't received an update since I got this device or since I'm using it. And if I go out, and if I go out to the main screen, as you can see, you get a preview of the last image that was streamed to you. So that doesn't get updated even if you reopen the phone. And you can add additional devices. So you can have multiple of these. And I think this is one more reason why this is a good temporary home security feature, because it's battery powered. So let's say you leave your home for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So you just place it outside in strategic places around your house, so it covers sort of like the main areas and the door. You set the PIR on, and then you are all set. And when you come back home and you don't want, yours have to be monitored all the time, you can just, pack these up, put them into a cupboard, take out the batteries, and yeah, it's fine. And then once in a while you put it on the USB to charge up the batteries. So going back to the app, and we also have a setting in here for this particular device, and the most important feature here is this one, which says accept call, notification, silence, or calling. So I've set it to notification, and that's why when I press the button I only get a notification. But what you can also do is you can set it to calling, and now that the notification is set to ring, if I press the button, I'm getting this on my phone, and I click on the green one, then I get automatically connected. Well, I get into the call, so I get into the app, and into the device, and I can see the live feed. And that's how long it takes. So you can see there was only a couple of second delay. And I have to say that I've played around with it a lot, just left in the house, and then the kids just, kept pushing the button. There were a few cases where I only got the notification after a few minutes, but I would say in 90% of the cases, the call came through in a couple of seconds. And with this, I would like to mention some of the things that I don't like about this app. So for example, there is only one settings to accept call, which means that you can't set the behavior for the call, so somebody pushing the button, or a motion detection. So it would be nice if I can get a call in for the button push, but just a notification for the motion. So I think that's definitely one thing that they should have added. The other thing is that it uses the standard notifications and also uses the standard ringer sound. And I would like to have a different one, because I want to know if I'm getting a call or somebody is pushing the button on my doorbell. So, I mean, I don't like that. So I think that they should have implemented it in a different way, or at least I should have assigned it to a different, ringtone. And I have to say, I haven't explored the cloud storage option, and that's one thing I do like about this device, is that once you put the SD card in, then everything gets stored in the SD card, so your video don't go into the cloud, or at least that's what it suggests. But of course, yeah, you can never tell, to be honest. And finally, I think we are going to look at the listings, because I again want to reflect to some of the specs that were mentioned online. I say before we finish, we have a quick look at the listing as well on gearbest.com. Of course, you will find the link in the video description. So as I mentioned before, it's an Alfawise doorbell. It's the L10 model. So 720, they mentioned 720p here, so this is definitely 720. You can choose from two different warehouse locations, but it's not in the Hong Kong one at the moment, so it's $37.99 at the moment with some flash sale going on. And you can see, you know, well, they have really nice stock images, like, you know, how it's going to look like. Of course, it's not going to look like exactly the same as before. I haven't shown you the box, but I've shown you the manual, really thin manual, and you are also getting a couple of mounting screws and that small Allen wrench that is needed to secure that really small screw that you can see here. Yeah. So if I go down, and oh, by the way, in the recommended product, you can see at least two other models that look exactly the same as this L10. So again, short video presentation. I'm not going to go through all these details because I pretty much mentioned everything. I just want to highlight a few things. So yeah, 720p 10-meter night vision. I think that's about right, and that's reasonable. 166 wide angle field of view. The app is called XSH Cam. And the other thing is, which was a really big letdown for me, of course I might have misunderstood what they meant here, but in the network they mention all these buzzwords like DDNS, DHCP, and DNS, and FTP, and HTTP, and IP. Well, I mean, I think that's probably just, they have copied the spec from some other product, from other sheet, because, well, I'm guessing it supports some sort of internet protocol. But based on this, I would have expected that maybe it also supports, let's say, RTSP, and I would be able to get the stream out of this camera or this doorbell, which would be ideal, because then I could integrate into some DIY home automation system. But I tried to port scan this device. I tried it when it was on sleep, and I tried it when it was also, you know, video call was being made, and it has no open port, so there is nothing that this device supports other than this, you know, really simple mobile app. So there's no way to get the images off the device. It's no way to remotely wake it up using some sort of HTTP call, or look at the stream other than in the mobile app. So, I mean, I sort of expected this, because again, I've seen a different model or a different product and it was behaving pretty much the same, but I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be different. This is going to be much better because it has some open protocols that we can use, but no, it hasn't, nothing. I didn't show the SD card, but I mentioned that it's a micro SD card. Frame rate 30 frames per second. Well, it's never going to be 30 frames per second in the video, but of course the one that got recorded onto the HD card would be like that. And here they do mention something about the working voltage. So the 5 volt 1.5 MDC, that's for the micro USB connector to charge the batteries. And the other voltage mentioned here is this AC 8 to 12 volts. I think this is a a typo, because I mean, I've seen another product, it's just basically a simple DC input. So you have a 12 volt or yeah, most probably a 12 volt, you know, plug-in wall adapter that you can use it for that. I honestly, I don't think it's going to be AC, but well, there's no way of telling, and I haven't tested the external power input. And yeah, in the videos we are getting this, oh yeah, you can, you know, review the feed. Well, in fact, you can't. I mean, this is not how the app looks like. You can't, like, you know, fast forward and rewind the feed. It doesn't exactly work like that. So this is like, yeah, they just taken a picture or they photoshopped it. Again, this, yeah, the app is not that fancy. You can't select dates, and you don't have anything in the software which is able to tell that the man is approaching based on the video. Again, very simple stock images, nothing in the background, no bushes or trees that could be moving around and messing up your motion detection. So again, that's probably the ideal situation for the motion detection. And yeah, some cheesy photos in there. So again, here they mention that it can last for up to 6 months, about 6 months. It's probably going to be less than that. And they mention it here, it's the recording on the TF card is like a loop recording. So of course the oldest recording will get overwritten once the TF card is full, which is nice. So if you don't care about the recordings, you can just leave it in and it would just only contains your most recent one. But again, just with these small recordings, like half a minute or just a few minutes, it's going to take ages before this, before like a 32 gig memory card is filled up. Of course, remember, it doesn't get stored in the cloud. So if someone nicks your doorbell, well, they will nick the recording as well. That was all for today. Thanks for watching and hopefully see you in the next video.